Thomas, another week to work on ironing out issues and problems, and individual errors as well seem to have been a little bit of an Achilles heel. How much work can you do on that?
That's a good question. I would say good week of work. We still have 1 day left tomorrow. Still have had a big focus on to love to defend as a team together. Big focus on the commitment, desire to win your 1v1 battles and defend well as a team. And I would say individual mistakes are very difficult just to sort them out. You can say taking everything away, every single goal, there's always a bit of something. But of course, it's been obvious that we've done or made too many mistakes together as a team, but also as an individual. But we have had a big focus on it, and I would say that even that it looked in some perspective a little bit crazy after 26 minutes, the overall effort from the team was on a good level against Swansea and definitely against West Brom. So we are confident that we are going in the right direction.
What flexibility do you have within team selection? Really looking at, because when players have been under the cosh or when things haven't been gone, do you need to freshen things up? Just a couple of new faces that haven't been necessarily under the pressure?
I think it's been obvious for everybody that we have been. We don't have everybody ready for selection. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah. Too many injuries through the last 5-6 weeks. For this squad tomorrow, there's 2 out mainly. That is Emiliano and Luis. Both of them longer-term injuries, unfortunately, more than a month. But the rest that will be ready for selection are also ready to start. That hasn't been the case the last couple of weeks. We will have Julian Janvier back in the squad tomorrow. Kamo Mokotjo have had, after the injury against Norwich, now he's ready, match fitness, ready to potentially start. So that gives us extra opportunities to freshen things up, and I think we have needed that.
Does that aid your defensive decision making as well, really, or when you're deciding, with what Camo can do in front of the back four, what Julian can possibly provide, as far as giving a respite to a couple of very young defenders?
I would say it's all about, how can you say, construct the right team and make sure the relations are good enough. But I would say both of them bring something to the squad that we need at this moment in time.
And even from a goalkeeping point of view, you have obviously Dan Bentley as the number 1 goalkeeper, but Luke has stepped in before. Do you, as a manager, do you have to look at that and say, look, a goalkeeper who's not necessarily by their own fault, but conceding goals, they feel the pressure, they take responsibility even if it's not theirs?
Yeah, they should do. It's we defend as a team, but in the end, we tend to talk about the goalkeepers or the back four, but it's all 11 that need to defend well if we want to defend very well and not conceding as many goals as we had. I would say that Dan, after a tough start to the season, have progressed, and I think he is back on a good level. I think the last 3 games, how crazy it sounds, but been really good in terms of good action, good saves, and good how can you say interactions in the box, going out for the crosses and stuff like that. So I think he's been doing quite well.
Hull themselves, I mean, they've had an improvement in form, but I mean they're not exactly a team that have won credit for all of their defending as well. So I mean this is both teams. You hope to test them. You hope to test their defense.
Oh yeah, of course. I think none of us are in doubt of that we are very good going forward, and we always create chances and always scoring goals. So that's my expectation, that we can do that again on Saturday, of course. The big thing is that we need to focus very much on not conceding as many as we have done.
Yeah, I mean, how important is it though, from that point of view, to focus on defending and not conceding goals, but not to try and rein in the attacking instincts too much?
No, I would say it's very important that we have a clear way of doing things, and of course, depending on how the form are, how we are playing, it's always okay. Either we focus a lot on build up and breakthroughs and scoring goals, or a little bit on the pressure or the lower defending, depending on where we need. And this moment in time, of course, it's obvious that we need to defend better, but we still need to keep that offensive balance. Don't take too much out of the boys. But I'm looking around, look them in the eyes, and you can see there is so much quality. So it's about 100% commitment, giving all out, and belief.
And the next 2 games before Christmas kicks in against teams that actually, with 2 wins, you would not just obviously push Brentford further up the table, but you would keep teams further down. It would ease that gap. It would ease those concerns. The gap of only 4 points at the moment. Suddenly, within 2 weeks or 2 games, it could be a lot more.
I would say that. It's always the next game who is very important, but this moment in time, everybody knows that it's a big game for us on Saturday. Of course it is. But also the first of the rest of the games of the season. So we need to see it in that perspective as well. For me, it's about we have 100% focus on that game on Saturday. Go there, do everything we can, get the 3 points, and then we'll enjoy that and look forward to the game afterwards against Bolton.
And Kevin O'Connor now is going to be working with you in the first team. What does Kevin bring to your group? I think
it's a perfect mix and a perfect fit for all of us. Like Kevin, getting him into the first team coaching staff. I'm really pleased that he can step up to us. And after a long process, we interviews how we do it.
It's taken a while.
It's taken a while, yeah, but that's how we do things in Brentford. It's not the first time it's taken a while to take those decisions. It was exactly the same with my own appointment 2 years ago. It took a while, people just didn't know. So we do it with quality and make sure we take the right decision. Kevin brings dedication, passion, knowledge and high standards. And his knowledge of the club as well is big. Or everybody knows that he's a legend. So he just bring all that extra who is in between. You can't define, and that's what we need. And it's important to say, I think we need that in the mix of the coaching staff. No matter if we've won 10 games or if we lost 10 games, we need it no matter what. But this moment in time, what he brings is even more important now, because when you're on a high, you can tend to forget your basic and you can get away with it because they've been playing with big confidence, stuff like that. But now, no, it's the core, it's the basics, and that's what he brings massively, of course, with a lot of other stuff.
And does he have a particular role within the structure that you have? Will he be focusing on certain areas of expertise?
We define that. So he will, of course, everybody is bringing, and nobody's holding themselves back if they have ideas or seeing things that need to be improved, or that is very good. But it's defined that of course Brian and him, Brian will still focus on the defensive. Kevin will still focus on he will focus now on the offensive part of it. Still split key players between them, so we make sure we have the individual touch on key players, and then of just bringing his knowledge and experience in.
Okay, thank you.
Thomas, if you had to give Kevin a kind of short headline of what difference you'd like him to make, how would you summarise it?
3 points.
Every game?
Yeah, exactly. That was simple, wasn't it?
Yes.
No, he brings that extra knowledge of club, English football, high standards, dedication, passion in every aspect, and I think that fit, when you need to have 4, 5, 6 people to work together, I think he's the perfect fit for us this moment in time, and he can he know what it is to be out there and suffer sometimes, and as he said, people tend to now they think what a great player he was. They think, I remember still there was some times where people didn't think I was that good, or they maybe didn't support me that well. But he know what it takes. He know what it takes to. He's been through everything with this club, ups and downs. So he know why we in some ways are at the highest point, you know, in terms of division and being championship, but also what we have been through the last many years. So I think that's top.
Okay. I look back up when we last asked you about this, was I think beginning of November. You were, I'd probably say, open-minded about whether the person should necessarily have championship experience. Have the events of recent times made you feel that actually that is a more important part of what you want from them than you might have got from a foreign coach?
No, because one of the criteria was that we wanted. We had some criteria. One of them was that we wanted an English coach. In the coaching staff. So that was a high one, no matter what. And of course, it's always speculation if it's going very well or not that good. But especially when it's not going that well, we tend to see things, or we want to see things. So this appointment would have been no matter what.
Marcus Gale was interviewed on a radio station this week, and he said you were a good guy, good coach, and the players respected you, but they needed to endorse that respect by performing in training and stepping out on the field of play 100% prepared in the warm-up. I think this arises from comments that have been made about whether the players have been turning up late for training, whether they haven't been taking the warm-up seriously enough. What do you make of that?
I would say if you're judging, I guess it's a warm-up for the match they're referring to. Going back to the question before, when you're not on the best run, you look at things and you see things that, especially that you judge, things where you think, oh, that cannot be right, it's a warm-up or whatever, there's different rumors. But I can say 100% sure they put a lot of effort into every single session, every single match, every single warm-up. There's no player who don't have 100% commitment in any aspect. If they don't, they're not playing or they're not in the squad. That's very, very simple. And to those guys who's been very picky on players being late, there's been 2 players late for training the last 2.5 years I've been, or 2 years I've been here. One, Sergi, 2 weeks ago because he had some personal matters, and that was arranged Tuesday before the Thursday training. But I'm glad that people are following us with interest and and caring of us. And another one because he slipped over, and that can happen for everybody. I think it happened for me once the last 20 years as well.
Okay, thank you. Now on injuries, you just said that Luis and Emiliano are out, but everyone else is available to start. Does that mean that they're all able to finish 90 minutes? Because you've been quite open that Josh Da Silva, for instance, has had an injury that he's still getting over. Mm-hmm. Are all those players now who are, quotes, available also able to play a full game?
Yes.
Okay, that's good news.
That's very good news.
Last week we asked you about the January window, and you said, I know I want to keep the strongest side together and add to it. Now, Brentford haven't always had a reputation in the January window of adding to their window, and occasionally let people go. So have you got some understanding from the directors of football about the window, or is that an optimistic scenario you're looking at?
First of all, we always discuss it, of course. Rasmus, Phil, Matthew and I, all the transfer windows and the strategies. But we can't control everything ourselves. We could get very high bids on players, or some of the players we want to get in maybe is not possible or whatever. But in general, our aim is always to keep the strongest side and add to it. So it's not only just to talk about it and say in general terms. That is what we want, of course.